Hey, what's up? How you doing? It's Grzmot here. Today I'm going to be talking about how to play Ella. Ella is a really strong defending operator in the game, but it can take a while to really learn her and understand how to play her properly. So today for you guys, I'm going to be showing you how to effectively play Ella. First, let's take a look at Ella's loadout options. For her two primary options, Ella has the choice between the Scorpion SMG and the FL12 shotgun. The FL12 shotgun is a very powerful shotgun as far as shotguns go, and it can be very useful in certain circumstances. It does a decent amount of damage and has a fairly tight spread, but what makes it really powerful is the fact that it's a semi-automatic shotgun, which means that it's going to fire as fast as you can click the mouse button. This is really useful, but it can make it very difficult to control the recoil because it will tend to climb up very quickly. But all around, it's a very powerful shotgun if shotgun's the sort of thing that you like to use. For this, I would recommend equipping whatever sight you want and a vertical grip. Now, if we go over and take a look at Ella's SMG, we're going to notice that it has an extremely high fire rate. If you can manage to hit your shots with this thing, it'll shred through enemies like paper. The problem is hitting your shots. The recoil on Ella Scorpion is quite extreme and is the result of various nerfs and buffs that have happened over time in an effort to try to balance her out and make her more fair. So currently her Scorpion is very difficult to control. Now if you're going to use this SMG, I would recommend using the flash hider. As you can see on screen, the other sights, although they do a little bit to help for recoil, don't do as much as the flash hider. The compensator isn't a bad option, but it can be difficult to control those first couple of bullets, which are very important to control. So overall, I would say the flash hider is probably your best bet. I would also recommend equipping vertical grip because the vertical climb is so severe. If you look at her pistol, it's a fairly weak pistol, but she only has one option, so you're not really left with anything else. However, it does have a good sight on it, which is a little bit of a bonus. Now if you go down to her secondary gadgets, she has the option to equip either barbed wire or deployable shield. In most circumstances, I would say run the barbed wire over the shield because of the extra sound intel that it gives you, but in some cases the shield can be a smart option. If you're going to anchor, the shield may be better, but if you're going to lurk or roam, definitely use barbed wire. So now let's take a look at Ella's gadget, or Grzmot mine. This mine will go off instantly as soon as you enter its blast radius, and when that happens, it will cause a sort of double vision effect to your screen. It will make it much harder to hear things. You will not be able to sprint, and your turning speeds will be much slower. Additionally, it's going to be a lot harder to hear anything when you're in the Grzmot mine. One thing to keep in mind is that if you're playing Ella or any other defender, the Grzmot mine will still affect you if you're close enough. So make sure that when you're playing Ella, you play a safe distance away from your mines, that way you're not being disrupted. The proximity radius for the mines is around 4 to 5 meters. However, the blast radius is around 6 meters. So just because you're not in the range that would trigger it, does not mean that you wouldn't suffer the effects of it if someone were to trigger it. Make sure that you're an appropriate distance away whenever you place your mines. So now it's time to talk about the best way to utilize Ella. The first method of playing Ella that I would suggest is to use her as kind of a lockdown operator. Now what I mean by a lockdown operator is an operator that can lock down an entire area by themselves. If there's an area on a map that's very valuable to hold, for instance above bomb site in canals, then I would suggest playing Ella. And what I would suggest is placing your Grzmot mines above all the major entrances and barricading the entrances up. After this, place the barbed wire in strategic spots that will allow you to hear where the attackers are coming from or how close they are. After doing this, if the attackers try to take control of the room, they're going to have to break down the barricade, go through the barbed wire, and go through your Grzmot mines. All of this creates quite a racket, which will allow you to know exactly where they are and take advantage of that. When they run into a Grzmot mine, you should then proceed to peek them and try to kill them because you have a huge advantage in the gunfight. By playing her in this way, you can deny valuable map control or at least delay the map control for a very long amount of time, and you may get a couple kills out of it, which is always beneficial. Essentially, you're going to be using her barbed wire and her Grzmot mines as intel gatherers and traps. The noise caused by the barbed wire and the Grzmot mine will allow you to know where they are, and the speed decrease by the barbed wire and all the other effects by the Grzmot mine will give you advantage in the gunfight. This makes Ella very strong when played in this manner, and I believe this is the playstyle that she is most suited for. The second playstyle that I would adopt when playing Ella is to roam with her. Because she is a trap operator, you have the ability to put your gadget down and just run away. This means that you don't have to actively be doing anything with your gadget to be beneficial to your team. Ella has very strong guns and she is a 2-speed, which makes her an ideal roamer. The most effective way to play Ella as a roamer is to place 2 of your Grzmot mines in sight and put your barbed wire or deployable shield in sight as well. This will really support the anchors that are playing. And then what you're going to do is you're going to use that 3rd Grzmot mine to watch your back. So as you roam about the map and hold certain angles and spots and rooms, use the Grzmot mine to cover your flank. This will allow you to play in positions that you wouldn't be able to play otherwise because no one would be watching behind your back. If you utilize her in this manner, Ella is a very strong roamer. Having the ability to cover your flank is one of the most useful assets you will ever have as a defender. Next up, I want to talk about when you should play Ella and how useful she is in a team versus solo queuing. As a solo queue operator, Ella is very powerful, and this is primarily because, as I said, she can cover her flank. It's difficult to be comfortable when you're solo queuing because you know that your teammates don't always have your back, and Ella is one of those operators that allows you to not have to worry about that. So if you plan on solo queuing, Ella is a great choice. Now, if you're not solo queuing and you're in a 4 or a 5 stack, Ella can also be very useful because of the intel that she provides. If you know where your Grzmot mines are placed and you communicate with the teammate whenever an enemy triggers the Grzmot mine, you can allow your teammates to get a lot of kills. So that's how I think Ella stacks up in solo queuing versus playing in a full team. So when should you be playing Ella? What maps should you be playing Ella on? Well, I believe Ella is most useful on maps that require a heavy amount of roam clear. You can waste a lot of time and get a lot of kills if you play on large open maps that have a lot of roamers playing on them, because the enemy team knows that they have to clear the roamers if they're going to stand any chance of winning the round. And if you're playing Ella and you use the playstyle that I discussed, you're going to be able to stall that roam clear a large amount. You might be able to deny it altogether, which is going to make the enemy team very on edge and worried. She's also very strong when you're playing above bomb site. So whenever you're playing on a bomb site that has the destructible floor above it or hatches, Ella is always a good choice. Because as I showed you, she's very strong at denying that vertical play. Denying vertical play can be the difference between winning a round and losing a round because it's that powerful. And Ella is one of the best operators to deny that play. That's my opinion on what sort of maps and bomb sites that you should be playing Ella on. Lastly, I want to talk about some things that you may not know about Ella and that may or may not be useful, but they are most certainly interesting and good to know. The first is that Sophia has a slight resistance to Ella's Grzmot mines. She will not be stunned for as long as other operators would normally be. Also, Ella herself has greater resistance to Grzmot mines. She recovers much faster than other defending operators would. When Ella is downed, she can throw out a Grzmot mine to stun her attacker. This is normally not super useful, but it is good to know if the occasion arises. Any teammates that are under the effect of Finka's adrenaline surge will recover much faster from a Grzmot mine than they normally would. It is worth noting that the sonic blast from Echo's yokai drones do not stack with Ella's Grzmot mine. It's also worth noting that Echo's yokai drone blasts do not affect someone who is under the influence of a Grzmot mine. If you're playing Monty and you have your full shield extended and you run into a Grzmot mine, it will force you to unshield completely, so watch out for that. Ella's Grzmot mine can be destroyed by Thatcher's EMP grenade, Callie's blast, and can be spotted by IQ's sensor. Twitch drones also have the ability to take out Grzmot mines. One last but important thing to note is that the Grzmot mines will only be triggered if they are within line of sight of the enemy. Even if the enemy is within proximity of the mine, it will not go off unless they can physically see it. For instance, if the mine is behind a desk and the enemy cannot see it, it will not go off even if the enemy is within range. Alright, so that's pretty much it for this video. I really hope you guys liked it, and I really hope that it helped you out. If you did like it, please leave a like, comment, and consider subscribing. It would really mean a lot to me. Once again, thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time.